Have you guys ever had one of those days where it's just like, wow, everything you touched just didn't go the way you wanted? You guys cannot unmute yourself and talk freely. Well, that's what happened for me today. And that's what this lesson's all about. I did a live on Facebook that your recording or your vibration is your responsibility. And I didn't know that, years ago. I used to grind it out like, why can't I figure something out? And just wind up having a worse and worse day. But in order to lead people, we first have to set our own vibration and then share that vibration. And if we're not able to do that, we can't hold a different vibration, like be all pissed off and then just hope that somebody is going to feel good. Like, it doesn't work that way. We have to hold the vibration that we want to transfer. All right. Is that you speaking, Jenna?
No.
No. Okay. For some reason, it just took over. It has your screen there. So literally what I wanted to do is if you guys ever use anything called StreamYard, I wanted to do StreamYard tonight and go live on Facebook because it's kind of cool. Because then you guys get to log in, you get to hear the lesson, and they also get to hear it live on Facebook. It's kind of like they get to just hang in the background though. But I wasn't able to accomplish that. And that kind of led the downward spiral where things went a little bit sideways for me. And then I had to go kind of pick up my vibration and laugh about it. So there's something that I want to share with you that recently I learned by listening to a guy talk. He's just really a peaceful guy. And he said, when things are going in a direction that you don't want it to go, it becomes much less when you step outside of yourself and you begin to view yourself as an observer. You begin to see yourself, how do you put it, from the point of view of, gosh, did Shauna come in? There she is. You begin to see yourself from the point of view of just like you're watching another person. And then it's not that big of a deal. It becomes less. It almost becomes more comical when we're just being the observer. Hi, Shauna. All right. Well, I'm ready to get underway. Tonight's lesson is about leadership. And, a lot of people say, well, I'm not really interested in leading a bunch of people or getting into a leadership role at work. It doesn't matter. The rules that I'm about to share with you, they really apply because if you're going out there and you're living your life, you're living your dream, what you're doing is constantly growing into a new version of you. When you have a desire, that's your spirit saying, hey, you can do this. Go out there and express this. But in order for you to do this, you're going to have to think, act, and operate in a different fashion. And what happens is the people around you, you've built them based on who you used to be. And so when you start taking different action out there in the world, those people go, hey, what are you doing? Don't do that. That's weird for me. My subconscious doesn't know you like that. And so a lot of times we'll get opposition. It doesn't have to be big opposition. It could be big opposition, but you will get opposition and you don't know how to face it unless you know how to lead, unless you know what we really are and what matters, what motivates people, what gets them moving forward. That's what leadership's all about. So even if you're not wanting to lead a big corporation or a big team or anything like that, you still need to know how to lead when you're going out there and living your dream. Because when you're living your dream, you're living different all the time. You're always growing into a newer version of you. Your inner circle goes, what the hell are you doing? And you need to be able to lead them down the path of understanding what it is that you're doing, being able to share that vision and being able to share that feeling. That's what it's all about. In order to lead other people, you've got to be able to first lead yourself. So I'm going to dive into this right now. And at any point, you guys have any questions? This stuff is thought-provoking stuff. At any point, do you have a question? I didn't explain something well, or you want to know something better, or even apply it in your life? Please just raise your hand and let's talk about it. That's what M3 Mastermind is all about. This isn't the place we go to say, oh, your dream is dumb. or you're dumb for doing something like that. I'm the creator of the culture here, and the culture here is something that I feel like I didn't grow up with as a kid. As I started to get a little bit older, as I started to share my dreams and what it was I wanted to do, there wasn't much support. People couldn't understand what it was. And I feel like I got pushed back from the dream all the time, over and over and over again. And the reason that I do what I do with so much passion today is because had I had the support that I wanted, God only knows what I could have done. And it's not a sad story I'm trying to tell you. I think it's a wonderful story. It's made me the coach that I am. So everything's worked out perfectly. But I feel like being able to create a culture and an environment where it's nothing but support, and it's looking at us as the infinite, wonderful, unique expressions of spirit that each and every one of us is, and really seeing that and feeling that with one another, is where we can lift each other up. We can encourage each other. A lot of times we get down, and it's those around you that are supporting you that can pick you up, because they can see that beautiful part of you and continue to tell you, move forward, move forward. We believe in each other here. And that's the type of support we need to go out there and get our dreams. And like I said, as a kid, I don't feel like I experienced a lot of that. And that's why it's such a powerful thing for me today, to share this stuff in this way, because that's the key for really getting what it is that we want. So here we go. Speaking of that, my kids, I hear them down the hallway. This is attitude. This is not attitude. I hijacked some slides from attitude. So this is leadership. Just to get you guys on the right path here and get you open up and start thinking. I want you to think about leaders in your life who have really had a positive impact on you, and ask yourself, like, why? Why did they really impact you? Why did they stick in your mind? What was it that they did that made such a difference for you and your life? And to jog your mind, you can think about teachers and coaches. Sometimes I had a great uncle. He was more like a grandpa to me. But he was such a powerful, positive force for me. And, those things come to mind, but really think about that right now. Just draw that in and think about great leaders in your life. Why? Why were they so special to you? What you're going to find is that a lot of the things that I share with you right now that they did naturally. We have something called unconscious competence. It means that you don't actually understand what it is that you're doing, but you're doing all the right things. You're doing all the right things for you to get the success. But when you're an unconscious competent, you can't explain what it is that you're doing, so you can't transfer it. You're not able to articulate what it is. All this stuff that I share in the coaching, it's about being a conscious competent and understanding what you're doing. All right. So you thought about people that really influenced you in your life, and why? Like, why? What was it about them? What did it mean? Just hold on to that thought and think about that stuff. Napoleon Hill, when I share stuff from Napoleon Hill, remember, it's the stuff that he said, it wasn't his opinion. He went out there and studied 500 of the world's most successful people, and he boiled it down to what all of them were doing. And he studied them for 20 plus years. And he boiled it down to what all of them were doing in order to get success. And that's where he came up with his 13 success principles that you see in Think and Grow Rich. But this is a quote from Napoleon. He said, broadly speaking, there's two types of people in the world. There's leaders and followers. Decide at the outset whether you intend to become a leader in your chosen calling or remain a follower. The difference in compensation is vast. The follower cannot reasonably expect the compensation to which a leader is entitled, although many followers make the mistake of expecting such pay. So the compensation is vast. When you're leading large numbers of people, of course, you're very influential and your compensation is going to be much greater. We get confused in the world sometimes when we say, hey, we're going to duck away and we're not going to do anything. We don't want any responsibility, and then we expect that our pay is going to be really high for that. People get really confused. That's just not the way that it works. So you're going against the law at that point. We should always be in a position of discontent, we call it. Discontent is a wonderfully creative state. Why? Because it's telling you, I want to do something more. I want to do something more. So if you give somebody a whole bunch of money for doing nothing, what have you actually done for them? You've put them in a position where, they're not expressing their spirit. They're not going out there and bettering themselves. So what's the point of this world then? Is it just to exist? Just to have a bunch of free stuff? It has nothing to do with the material stuff in the world. The stuff that we're actually doing is expressing more of your spirit, finding out about who you are, what the desires you have are, what it is that you really want to do in your heart, and then going out there and doing it, having the courage to do it until you express that spirit. And then once you express that spirit, something else is going to call to you. It's never going to end. It's about being a leader. So if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, or do more, become more, you are a leader. John Quincy said that. Earl Nightingale said that every business, every organization, from the smallest to the largest, needs a leader. And when you think about this, like the smallest things, this last year I was a little league coach, I had to step into a leadership role that I'd never done before with kids. But everything requires leadership. And if we don't understand what it is and how to do it, it gets really weird. It gets really wonky, Everything requires leadership. You got a family? We're leading our family, right? So if you're living the life of your dreams and pursuing your goals, then you must understand leadership. Why? I covered some of this before. The first thing that's going to happen is everything is created in imagination. Your vision of going out there to live your dream and your goal is always going to begin in you, and it's only through the understanding of leadership that's going to make it manifest. Without the understanding, you'll struggle to bring your dream to fruition as you face that opposition, because you don't understand these things. The people around you are not going to see your vision. You're going to see and feel your vision first, and we must learn how to lead those people on that path so that they can buy into the vision. They can get involved with the vision, or they can get the hell out of the way too. That's very important at that point. Is somebody saying, I don't support this at all, and I absolutely need you to be my robot in this world? You don't need somebody like that next to you too. And a strong leader is going to know the difference between those two things. It's going to give themselves permission to say, okay, you're out of here. That's perfectly fine. This is my vision, and you're making room for the next person that's coming up and sees the vision and walks with me down this path. That's a natural part of going after what it is that you want in this world. And understand that it's not that person's fault that they're not supporting you. They don't know. All they know is that you're acting and doing and behaving in a way it's not familiar to them anymore. It's your understanding that matters. You have to gain this understanding and this awareness of what it means to be able to transfer that feeling, transfer that attitude, and what's really causing those people to do what they're doing. Just what I said, we don't take it personal anymore at that point. It's just their programming, and you just let it go. That's it. So it's not their fault that we don't achieve our dream. It's not their fault that they don't support us. It's your understanding. When we talk about responsibility, what that really means is the moment that we point out there in the world and we say, oh, this damn thing and that damn thing did something, so I can't have what I want. You just gave away your ability to respond. Well, if it's that thing and you gave all the control of it, of whatever it is that you want to do, away to that thing, then that thing is always going to have control over you. That's what your belief is. So that's what's going to show up in your life, and you're not going to have any ability to make any change. But when you look at it from the point of view, as you say, it's my responsibility, it's my understanding, what needs to change in me so that I can get a different result out there in the world, that you've taken back your ability to respond. That's really what responsibility means. So this is the thing. Really important rundown right here. This is a stick person. In all the coaching that I do, this is the central focus of what it is. If you haven't seen this before, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what it is. This was created in 1934 by a doctor who was in the healing arts, because he knew that everything originated in mind. The results that you're getting out there in the world originate in mind, but also the stuff that's going on in your body. It's anxiety. You know, anxiety leads to depression. We stop moving. If it stays there, it leads to disease, dis-ease, we call it, leads to disintegration. Well, this awesome doctor, he knew that. He knew that mainly what they were doing in the medical field, which he considered himself to be in the healing arts, was that they were dealing with symptoms. They were band-aiding symptoms. And he knew in order to be a great healer, everything originated in mind, but we didn't have any ability to change our mind because we think in pictures. We really do. We think in images. And when we're doing something, whether it's something we're going towards something that we don't want or whether we want, we're always projecting an image. And then we get emotionally involved in that image. And then the subconscious takes that and begins to move us toward it. But if we don't have a picture of what our mind looks like when it's working the way that we want, and a way that when it's working the way that we don't want, we don't have any image that we can move toward. And that's why he created this awesome little stick person. It seems like a joke when you first look at it, but it really is everything. And it gives you the ability to think of your mind in a way that you can now change your mind easily. And in order to change the results that you're getting in your life, you've got to change your mind. It's the one thing that you've got to do. And yet it's one of the hardest things to do. So understand this. We break our mind down really simply here. We're just thinking about using our mind from the point of view of how do we get what it is that we want. We're not into, psychotherapy or all the different, I don't know how many different parts of the mind that they would say. We just break it down very simply into the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, because that's all we need to know in order to understand this stick person to start getting the results that we want. Like for most of us on here, what we want to do is we want to be able to use our mind to live the life that we want. We want to be able to use our mind to go out there and get something that you've never done before, achieve a result that you've never done before. That's the point of this. So the conscious mind, that's where you and I are. That's where our senses are. See, hear, smell, taste, and touch. It's here right now. This is what we're doing. It can accept and reject. It can form images, but it's limited in what it can do. This is where we're at. This is where we're consciously communicating with each other right now, or at least I'm communicating with you. But it can't multitask. It can't hold more than one image at a time. And I tell people this from drawing a circle in a square, with one hand that way, or however it goes, or a triangle in a square. If you've not done that, you've not built that into a habit, like you didn't work in the circus or something, you're not going to be able to do that. And you can see exactly how the conscious mind works at that point if you try to do that. No, I can't do two things at once. But what you're going to find is that's beautiful. Like your mind has been designed this way for a reason. It's beautiful because you can't have a flood of things coming in there that you don't want. Nobody can make you have a thought that you don't want. You could create any image that you want. You can use your imagination. And what you do when you do that is you go down into the subconscious. The subconscious mind only accepts, it cannot reject, and it accepts something the moment you become emotional about it, the moment you feel it. That's what it does. And the subconscious multitasks all day long based on who it thinks that you are. It's aware of so much more in this world than we actually are consciously. And the subconscious is actually in that position. Well, the first thing it wants to do is keep you safe. It doesn't want you to make any big changes. So a lot of times if you're going after your goal, you'll get what you get from the feeling and the nervousness of going after a goal and doing something you've never done before. That's coming from subconscious, because basic programming in the subconscious says, hey, let's keep things safe. Don't change stuff too fast. Like bad things could happen if we change stuff too fast. So a lot of times that's where that feeling's coming from and what it is. But that's what subconscious is that it's a vibration, it's feeling. It's something that you're feeling. And the moment that you're feeling something, you're in vibrational harmony with either something that you want or you don't want. And you know that based on I feel good or I feel bad. And you're going to start taking action based on that. Either you're going to go away from something that you wanted, you consciously might have said, I wanted to do this. And you got involved emotionally in an image. If it's not going to go well for me, and you want to go away from it, you start doing something else, or you get emotionally involved with, this is going to go really well. And these are the outcomes that I want. And then you'll move toward the thing. But the body is just an instrument of the mind at that point. The body just goes into the vibration and it goes into action based on what the mind tells it to do. And here's the thing, the mind is telling the body what to do mostly through the subconscious, where your habits are formed. You operate from habit 96 to 98% of your day. Why? Because it's easier. You don't have to think about it. I want to show you guys how this habit things works. Are you ready for it? Since we're all a bunch of fit people on here, let's flex our gun. Just flex it, flex it, flex it. You feel it? You guys feel it? Okay, great. Grab your pen. This is important. Did you get your pen? Now, one time when you went to grab that pen at all, did you think about flexing your gun? Did you think about how you flexed your muscles in that process? No. Shawnee, you're shaking your head. Yes. So you went to go grab your pen, and did you think like, I'm flexing my bicep, now I'm flexing my tricep and all that stuff? Right? You didn't. You have a program inside of you that says grab the pen, and you've not always had that program. When you were a kid, you see a baby, they go to grab the pen, and it's all over the place, right? Like you see a kid trying to feed themselves, and the first time you give them the rubber spoon or whatever, and it's in the face and whatever the case is, the programming wasn't in there. You weren't born with that. And that's what life's like when you're doing things from the conscious mind all the time, always trying to figure out and learning it. That's why we build all these habits into our subconscious mind. And there's an enormous number of habits in there. We call it your paradigm. And your paradigm, those habits, how you feel about something is a habit. And it's always running from that habitual space, 96 to 98% of what you're doing. That's where your results in life live. The way you feel about something, whether it's your health and fitness, your money, your business, relationships, whatever it is showing up based on programming, habitual programming that we have in the subconscious. But this is the really cool part about this, is like I said, you're the one that can program that subconscious. Up until this point, if you've never heard anything about the stick person before, you didn't know this. So you got programming from here and from there. When you were little, when you were a kid, it was all just dumping into subconscious. Whoever was around you was making up all these rules for you. Like I said, about money, business, relationships, all that stuff. It just got programmed in there and you didn't even know it. So it's not until you become aware of this stick person that you understand what it really is. And yet you're the one that can program this thing perfectly, because conscious mind can't multitask. You can only have one image at a time, and you get to choose what that image is. Isn't that cool? Nobody can make you think something that you don't want to think. You can literally shut that stuff out, and you can get involved in an image of what it is that you really want and what it's like to have it already. And the moment you feel that, you begin to cause the subconscious to accept that. The moment you do that, and the more you do that, why do we do that over and over and over again? Is because that's how you build the habit in. Pretty soon, subconscious says, this is me. This is how I feel about this thing. It's my health and fitness, business, relationships, whatever. This is what I feel is me. Okay. And it shows you, have this thought, notice this person, notice this thing. These are how these things start to show up in our life. This is why certain people don't have much education, but they go out there in the world and get phenomenal results. Because they're operating with different programming at the subconscious. So this is the stick person. And understand that the energy always flows from the top down. Your body doesn't just start doing stuff. Like your thought energy is always coming in through the top of your head, as you would put it, whatever. It's coming in from everywhere. That's the best way we can describe it. But it's coming in, you're forming those thoughts, you're getting emotional with them, you're having those feelings, it causes the body to do something. This is why this stick person is so important. And then understanding this stuff in leadership around those of us that are around us, and being able to understand if somebody's doing something in a funny way, that's not to your liking or whatever, it's because of some kind of programming that you're pushing up against in their subconscious. That's what it's really about. You're causing them to vibrate funky. You're causing them to feel weird. When you understand people as the stick person, you're able to understand what's actually making this happen for them. And you're also able to distance that too. You're able to take their programming, set it off to the side, and go, you know what? That's not who they are. They're that wonderful spirit, just like you, at the center of it all. You're absolutely perfect at the center of it, but it's seeking expression. That spirit is seeking expression through whatever programming that they have. So you can set their programming aside. We no longer ever say somebody's a bad person or anything like that. So they're just walking around with bad programming is what they are. Can forgive it, just They don't want to walk around with that programming either because they're causing you to feel bad. They can't do that without feeling bad. Stick person's awesome. Well, here's the thing though. Attitude, that's what this was about here. Your attitude, as I said earlier on the live, is your responsibility. Nobody can make you have a thought that you don't want. So it's your responsibility as a leader to have positive thoughts, have positive images about what it is that you really want to go out there and accomplish in your life. If you want to lead people in a big way, it's your job to hold that positive image of you and what it is that you're doing so that you can transfer that. Because you create the thoughts go down to the subconscious. It's a positive feeling and you're in a positive vibration. Now, get this. If you get into a negative mindset, something goes sideways on you today, or whatever, whenever, and then you begin to feel more negative stuff is going to come from that, then you're going to be in harmony with that. That's what you're doing. You're putting your body in a negative vibration. We say negative because now you're in harmony with something that you don't want. And that's all that you can attract. And that's all that you can give. Even if you're trying to say all the right words, we know what it feels like when somebody's saying something that they don't believe in. And as a leader, we can't do that. Doesn't matter what your words are. And kids are amazing at this. They pick up on our vibration right away. I like to say kids have great built-in bullshit detectors because they feel it. It's like your words don't mean anything. I can feel that this is off. And that's what this is all about. But as a leader, understand it's your responsibility. You can always create a positive attitude. Stop what you're doing, and go get back into a space where you're feeling much better. So understand this, leadership, as a leader, we have a clear and passionate vision. And we naturally, because of that, because we're holding that vision all the time, we naturally surround ourselves with people who believe in that vision. Like I said, if somebody doesn't, that's okay. It's natural that that person's going to fall away. You're making room for the person that's going to take that place, and that person is going to support you. I say this so many times. Your only job in this world is to understand who you really are and then share it with the world. That's it. And the more you get in tune with who you really are, that's a natural place for you. You don't have to act like somebody else. You don't have to be somebody else. It's natural for you. And the more you give yourself permission to do that, the more you're going to surround yourself with people who absolutely accept you as that. Don't fight it when somebody wants you to be somebody else and they say, I'm going to leave if you're not. That's great. Let them go. Make room for somebody else. Many people in your life love you very much, and what they're going to do is they're going to become a big part of it. They're going to say, oh, I absolutely love the way you're sharing yourself and who you are. I love what you're growing into. And so they're coming along with you. They're accepting you. You're being who you are naturally. Passionate followers follow not because they want to, not because they have to, but because they want to. That's a big deal with leaders. You can't force people for very long to do something that they don't want to do. They've got to make the decision on their own that that's what it is that they want to do. Remember that we're running from subconscious mind, the emotional mind, 96 and 98% of the time. That's how we feel. As a leader, all we're doing is transferring. We have thoughts. You see what the thoughts are with somebody. You hear them, they're going to share them, but we're transferring an emotion and a feeling to that person. That's what real leadership is. It's not about forcing somebody against their will. It's not about bending somebody's will. It's about transferring an emotion. And that's got to be an emotion that means a lot to them. So what do you think, stick person? If you like the stick person, I say get him. Google the stick person. Put them up on your wall. Study them all the time. Understand that that's who you really are. That's your mind. It's not who you really are. You're that beautiful spirit at the center of it. But the stick person is your mind, and it's going to help you understand you, and it's going to help you understand the people around you so much better, and how to motivate people to get going in a direction that you're headed, if it is that that's what it is that they want to do. So attitude, that vibration we were just talking about, as a leader, you have to understand that it always filters from the top down. It's always going to be coming from you. You don't raise morale. It filters from the top down. So it's your high vibration that those that you're leading are going to pick up on. As I said, I alluded to this earlier. You can't feel something different and then make your people or make the people that you're leading feel the other thing. Like, you can't. It's just physically impossible. The things that we work with in this coaching is all universal principles. They're universal laws. You can't give a vibration that you're not holding yourself. So leadership isn't about the direction of people. It's about the development of people. That's a very powerful thing too, to understand that, is that we're going to give people tools to succeed around us, but also what we're going to do is to develop that person into believing in themselves that they can do this. And why are they going to want to do it in the first place? Because it's attached to something that they love. That's a big part about the leadership stuff too, is that we've got to be able to understand and have that conversation. What does that person really love? And how does that attach to what it is that you're doing? Why is that a win for them too? To help you get what it is that you want, why is that a win for them too? They're not going to do it for very long if it's not a winning proposition for them. We've got to learn to develop those people. And the goal of most leaders, I know this as I first came into coaching, I know this. I didn't understand it. I wanted people to think, oh, he's doing a great job. He's really good at the stuff that he does. Like, I lived a lot of my life that way, wanting outside approval. As a leader, to be a great, phenomenal leader, and you think back to the first question I asked you, like the leaders that really influenced you in your life, why? And think about this quote. The goal of most leaders is to get the people to think highly of them as a leader. But the goal of the exceptional leader is to get the people to think highly of themselves. As a leader, that's what we really want to be doing. Is we want to be developing people and showing them the same thing that we know about ourselves, that you are an infinite spirit and you can do anything. You can get emotionally involved in any image that you want. You're going to move toward that image. You're going to attract that to you in your life. And this is just the way that it works. You're a wonderful, unique expression of you, and you're an infinite being. That's what we want those people to know. From a place of lack, as I said, today, I said, there's no poverty. There's only a poverty mindset. There's only abundance out there. But once you see somebody take on a poverty mindset, you'll see this type of leadership happen. It's like, well, if I teach these people how to do all these amazing things, well, they're going to take over my job and they're going to take it away from me. That's a lack mindset. An abundance life set, an infinite mindset is what I meant to say, is that we are all unique expressions of spirit. So each and every one of us is going to express that spirit in a unique way. And the more we're expressing our spirit, we're going to be strong in some areas and weak in others. And when life comes together that way, it's beautiful. That's when we start fitting together like pieces of a puzzle. Like I just said before I got on here, like I wanted to do StreamYard. I don't do technical stuff very well. If you put me in a corner and you make me count stuff, that's hell on earth for me. Like, I don't want to do that. But there's some people that are amazing at that. That's why we have great accountants. That's why we have great tech people. And maybe they don't want to get up and speak or something else like that. It's not their natural place, but that's okay. This is the infinite mindset. This is this abundance life set, is that mindset is as we develop those people, they're going to express more and more of their spirit the way they were meant to express it. And it's going to connect out there in the world perfectly. So we don't have to worry about overdeveloping somebody and running myself out of a position or whatever, competition. You know, they're going to go create a business. If I show them how to do this, and they're going to take over my whole world. Don't even get involved in that thought. Just go out there and be the best version of you can, and be getting people to be the best versions of themselves that you can. And that's what we call heaven. The literal translation of heaven, the word it comes from, is ever expanding goodness. That's it. It's just getting better and better and better. So most great leaders begin in the capacity as followers. This is how we become good leaders. This is what we've got to do. They became great leaders because they were intelligent followers. With few exceptions, the person who cannot follow a leader intelligently, can't follow instruction, he can't become an efficient leader. So understand that there's no harm in following. I'm going to ask you that question here in just a little bit. But leadership in success connecting, leadership is success connecting. This is something that I just hit on just a little while ago. Do you know what real success is for you? Because if you don't, you're never going to be able to explain it to somebody else. You're never going to be able to share that feeling with them. So you must know this. You must get to know your success intimately in order to lead people in that direction. However you're leading them, even if it's your inner circle or you have a team of people that you're wanting to grow this with and do this with, you must first know what that success for you is. All the way down. I mean, you just feel it. You've got that picture clear in your head. If you don't, you can't share it. But do you know what the success is for those whom you lead? That's so important. You got to understand and connect the dots for who you're leading. If we're not able to do that and we're just making an assumption, then we can get it wrong. And then you're not going to get the performance out of the person because they're emotionally involved that I don't like this. This is not something that I want to do. And then they give you a bad performance and you wonder why. It's about communication and being able to get together with those people and talk with them. Ask those open-ended questions. What matters for them in their life? You know, if you have a sales team and you're putting together a sales team and you want them to sell a whole bunch of stuff, of course, it's natural that we say, well, you can make commission off that. You make a lot of money. But what's money? Money's nothing but printed paper, linen, whatever. It's not worth anything except for the experiences that it can buy. We get somebody emotionally connected with that. What's that money mean for them? What does it translate to in their life? Well, you're not going to know that until you talk to them. You might assume like, let's go get a Ferrari. And you're talking to a family person who loves to load up all their kids and, you know, go on trips. What the heck do they want with a Ferrari? It doesn't mean anything for them. And it's just kind of a random example that I'm giving, but you can see by assuming and not understanding fully that vacation, you're going to have more freedom. More money means more freedom to that person. In a simple motivational way, you know, when we talk about that. Okay, well, that's what it looks like for them and their family. So when they're succeeding out there, sharing what it is that you're selling, that's what it translates over to them. It's more freedom to do what it is that they want, more vacation, more whatever. It doesn't even have to be about money and vacation. It has to be about what the person really wants. And we have to find that in order to connect that to what it is that we're doing, why they want to take an action that moves you forward toward your goal because it's moving them forward toward their goal. Ask yourself, if you're leading people now, have you connected the two? Have you connected their success with your success? It makes me think a lot about when you're sharing dreams. You know, like I said before in the beginning, you're sharing dreams with family members, you know, and they're like, what the hell are you doing? It's because we never understood it that if you explained it out in a way, well, my success translates over to a place that looks like success for them, it makes them feel really happy, then you're more likely to get them to go, oh yeah, okay, that's cool, let's do that. But instead, most of the time they're bought into the idea, like, what are you doing? Like, I've never seen anything like this before. Of course you've never seen it because I'm expressing my spirit and I'm unique. So ask yourself these questions. These are screenshots here. If you want to take screenshots, are you a good leader? Can you lead yourself? That's the first thing we've got to be able to do. What's discipline? It's the ability to give yourself a command and then follow it. That's all that it is. Discipline gets confused with punishment all the time. It's not the same thing. Discipline is the ability to give yourself a command and then follow it. That's all that it is. So throughout your day, are you giving yourself the commands to go do something and then not doing it, deciding that you're going to go do something else? When we're getting into that role of doing things that we've never done before, it can be really funky. It can feel really weird because we're changing habits of how we feel and what we do. We've got to be able to give ourselves that command, get emotionally involved with the outcome that it is that we want. And that causes us to go into that vibration. And then we take the action and do that again and again and again in order to get those great results we want. And in order to lead other people, you can't tell somebody to do something that you're not doing yourself. It just doesn't work that way. So ask yourself, where are you leading yourself? And are you an intelligent follower? You should be following somebody all the time, learning something new from somebody that's done more. whatever area it is in your life, whatever it is that you're doing, if it's selling, if it's speaking, if it's, parenting, relationships, if you're wanting to grow that area, you should be reaching for somebody that has achieved success that you want to achieve and learn from them. Be an intelligent follower. Success leaves clues. Heard of that? When you think of yourself as a follower, ask yourself, who are you following? What are the qualities and characteristics of this person, this leader that you want to emulate? You go back to that very first question that I asked you. Those leaders that really touched you in your life, made a difference in your life. What was it that they did? You're going to want to emulate that with those that you lead because it had a profound impact on you. You can look at it in a different light after hearing me say these things with you. What action steps, what are the qualities or characteristics of this leader you want to emulate? And what action steps will you take this week to embrace these characteristics? This is all about taking action. We can talk about this stuff and it's really cool. It resonates, truth resonates. But then if we go out there in the world and we don't do anything with it, it's not worth anything. Matter of fact, it causes more frustration because you know that there's something more out there for you and you're not doing anything to go get it. So we've got to take action. And remember, we take action by disconnecting from the results. We don't get emotionally involved in the results. You just take the action over and over and over again until you get the results that you want. That's how you learned how to walk. You weren't emotionally involved with whether you were doing a good job or not and whether it was going to work out. You were just hell-bent on walking. So I said a baby will literally be crying from banging its head off of the coffee table and then still working on getting up to try to walk again. And they're not even stopping crying because they're still hurting so bad, because that's it. They go at it with reckless abandon and they don't care if they fall again because they just want to do the thing. You just keep going. Don't give yourself that punishment. It's like, oh, I didn't get the results that I wanted. Forget it. Give yourself the love and praise for taking the action. The more you take the action, you're built as a human to get better. It's natural. You have a success-seeking mechanism inside you that's always looking for, ooh, I just did a little bit better at that right now. And it overrides that last bit of programming that you just had. And as long as you continue to take action, you're going to get better at something. The only way you can fail is to stop taking the action. Then you can't get better. So that's why we want to take these action steps here. What action steps will you take this week to embrace these characteristics? How can you be a better follower? And what action steps will you take to prepare you to be a leader? When you think of yourself as a leader, how would you describe yourself? Again, disconnect from that. Just put it out there and answer the question, is that what I want? Like if I'm not leading in a very good way, like it's okay. Put it out on paper and say, is that what I want? Because you can turn around and rewrite those results exactly the way that you want them to be, become emotional with those results, and they're going to start showing up in your life. So wherever you're currently at, it's okay. Just write it out the way that you want. How would you describe your attitude? Is your attitude regardless of what's going on outside? Something bad happens, as your day spiral out of control and you just, is it crap from there on? Or do you understand that you're the one responsible for your attitude? You go create a better attitude and then change your results right in that moment. What are you creating as a leader? What's the vision you have for your team, your department, your organization, whatever it is that you want? What is your vision? And what's your plan to move toward this vision? We've got to have a plan. Hold the vision. The plans can change along the way. You're going to fail your way all the way there. That's the cool part. How are you developing the people around you? What action steps can you take to be an even more effective leader? How can you do more than you're being paid for? Because this is the last quote that I want to share with you. Are you ready? How can you do more than you're being paid for? And what would that look like? Because if you never do more than you're being paid for, then you're never going to be paid more for what you're doing. That's it. Leadership. Any questions, comments, anything you want me to, some of this stuff you've never heard before. Some of you on here have never heard this. Like the stick person, I'll ask you to unmute. If you want to, please, by all means, understand that we are a family here. You can share whatever it is that you want. Cynthia, for some reason, I can't ask you to unmute. It must be your phone or something. Have you heard this information before? Have you heard it, Jenna?
No.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, if you guys don't have any questions or comments or anything like that, this was M3 Mastermind. I'm so happy that you hopped on here and joined us. I hope you take this information and use it in your life to go out there and get all the results that you really want. That's what you deserve. You deserve to live the life that you really want. That's it. Matt here for M3 signing off. Good night.